America, these are your stars of the Democrat Party. First, you have the Wicked Witch of the West, who is literally like losing her ever-loving mind right before our very eyes.
Shut up.
Uh-oh. Just shut up. And then you have the bartender who, I don't know, may have had a few too many drinks herself.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
Air that's drinkable? Try again, AOC. Then we have the new up-and-coming face of the Democrats, Zohran Mamdani. I will tell you why he is a danger and why he must be stopped. Welcome back to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So, if you thought that it couldn't be more dangerous in New York City with all of, the criminals roaming around, getting out on cashless bail, getting, given 10, 20 different times, chances. Oh, he promises not to do it again. Oh, he was really violent. That's okay. Just release him. By the way, you're not allowed to own any guns to protect yourself. So when we talk about how dangerous New York City has gotten, I'm not just talking about the dangerous criminals already there. I'm talking about the man who wants to be the mayor of New York City, the self-admitted Democrat socialist, I would call him communist, Zohran Mamdani. Now, we've talked about him at great lengths on his show, mostly because he's an Islamist potentially funded by terrorist sympathizers. Like that in and of itself, we can just, you know what? Let's just set that part aside for a second. All right. We're not even going to get into that part. Be that as it may, he could be one of the most catastrophic mayors to ever be in New York City. Now, you probably wanted to drown out his nonsense and ignore it, but that would actually be a mistake. You probably wanted to say, well, I don't live in New York City. I choose not to live with all of these crazy liberals, and therefore it doesn't affect me. Well, it does. It does. The financial capital of the entire world, it actually affects all of us. And I got to tell you, the latest polling still has him with a double-digit lead over his nearest competitor, Andrew Cuomo. You see him, Mamdani, coming in at 46%, Cuomo as an independent, 33%, and Curtis Sliwa at 15% running as a Republican. Now, Mamdani did this new interview with Fox News, and New York, I have some questions. Let me just put it that way. I have some questions. Are you guys okay? Are you guys okay? Because I don't understand how he is getting 1% of the polling when he's talking about things like not locking up dangerous criminals who are repeat offenders.
64-year-old Nicola Tanzi, who was a church leader, a pillar in his community, was brutally beaten to death. I tried to watch this video in preparation. It's very hard to watch in a subway station in Brooklyn. 25-year-old David Mazarregos had a 20-inch sword. He's the suspect in this case. He was out. They lowered his bail so that he could get out. He was already waiting a trial for attacking someone in Chelsea. 33 past arrests. You were in favor of bail reform. Does that make you want to change your mind or think twice about reversing that?
And what it makes me think about is the necessity of providing public safety in our New York City subway system and across the 5 boroughs. Yeah. And also, how do we end the revolving door? Because when you look further into the case of whether this individual or so many individuals, especially those suffering from mental health issues, what we find is so often the only mental health system that we have that's functioning in this city is Rikers Island.
The revolving door. I mean, it's a revolving door because you keep letting them out. There's a solution. You just keep them in prison. We keep the dangerous criminals away from society. It's very, very simple, Zohran. Maybe wherever you're from, you guys do things differently. Here in America, we believe in law and order. And on the topic of the rule of law, this guy is like all over the place on what violence actually is and how to address it.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling. So violence is an artificial construction. And we have to be very clear that what is happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence. That is violence of the highest degree.
What is happening with these district attorneys, that is violence. I'm befuddled. Okay, I'm befuddled. If anyone can let me know, if you guys are watching this and you are from New York and you understand how in the world it is that you have people. I would think like if you live in New York City, you have to at least be mildly intelligent to be able to have a well-paying job to afford living there. So how is it that people are listening to this garbage and they're like, yeah, that's the guy I want to clean this place up? And it gets worse because he actually, after we did some of this digging, he actually, it seems, wants to get rid of prisons altogether.
Are prisons obsolete?
Whew, coming through with the quotes, coming through with the titles of the books. I have to read that, actually. I haven't read that as yet. But I think that, frankly, what purpose do they serve? Right? I think we have to ask ourselves that, which is that, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
Yes, actually, I will be the first to admit, Zohran, I will be the first to admit it does make me feel much safer to have criminals locked up. That is, in fact, that does make me feel, and I will never be bashful about sharing that, ever. It's kind of the whole point. Like, what purpose does it serve? Oh, I don't know. It keeps law-abiding citizens safe. It's really that easy. And by the way, this guy supports eliminating New York's gang database. You have to wonder what would be the justification for this other than to make people more dependent on the government? What would be the purpose? Eliminate the gang database would do nothing for anyone except make them less safe than they already are. So not only he wants to release dangerous criminals to run rampant out on the streets, he also really, on top of that, hold on, here it is, guys. Not only could he potentially be funded by Islamist terrorist sympathizers, not only does he want to not even lock criminals up, he also wants free handouts for anyone and everyone living in New York City. He will totally bankrupt everyone. His policies, if elected and if implemented, they're going to cost between $8 to $11 billion a year. A year. Everything, in true communist fashion, everything free. Childcare, government-run grocery stores, you've heard him talk about that. Subsidized housing. He says, we need free buses. Oh, by the way, that alone is going to cost $600 million a year, because it turns out none of this is actually free. They want to throw around the free word. People go, oh, I like free stuff. Oh, I like free stuff. It's not free, as it turns out. It's actually going to cost you a whole hell of a lot more money. And by the way, what that means is if you're a taxpayer there, if you don't use it, you're still paying for it. Now, he also not only wants to stop ICE from deporting dangerous criminals, he wants New Yorkers to literally pay. He wants law-abiding American citizens in New York City. He wants them to pay extra money to keep illegal criminals there.
400,000 of our residents are right now in urgent risk of deportation. The city knows that when it provides legal assistance to those same New Yorkers, their chances of going home increase 11-fold. And yet it has only assisted fewer than 200 of those New Yorkers. That's why also a cornerstone of our campaign is a commitment to increase funding for those very legal defense services by more than $100 million.
It's just crazy. It's just actually insane. And on top of all of that, and this is why I say, I need to understand what is going on in New York City. What is happening? All the sane people have already left. All the sane people are already in Florida, I guess. I don't understand, because he's very, very, in fact, more clear than I think any of the other Democrat socialists who have run prior to this have been. He's very clear about one thing. He is going to raise taxes in New York City.
So a lot of individuals in this city pay more than 50% of their income in taxes. When you talk about a fair share, how much more than, what is the fair share? What's the number?
I've said that we should increase personal income taxes by 2%.
Is fair?
And my point is this.
Give up more than half of your income.
Increase it by 2%. Oh, that just makes it 52%. So if you are living in New York City, he believes that you should go work as hard as you do to afford what you already have, which is probably a shitty small apartment because it's New York. So he thinks that you should work however hard you do. Let's say you work from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Let's say you work more than that because you're just trying to afford rent. He thinks that you should give up over half, that you, as an American citizen, should not have the right to over half of the money that you earned because he wants to provide free buses, which you just heard are not actually free because you are paying for them over half of what you are earning. I mean, it's totally insane. You know what else is insane? What else is insane is the overtly racist policies that he believes in as well.
We went on your website and realized there's a policy proposal that says your plan, and I'm going to quote it for folks, is to shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer and whiter neighborhoods. Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
It was just an assessment of the neighborhood. It's fine. It'll all be fair. It'll all shake out fairly. I'm sure, because taxing people based on race is pretty illegal. And so you hear all of these things. I mean, he is unapologetically telling you how communist he is going to be, how racist his policies are. And it's actually so crazy to me. I keep asking, what the hell is wrong with New York City? Are you guys okay? Blink twice if you need help, if you need rescue, okay? Because you see these man on the street videos. Well, someone went out and is asking these white liberals, like, hey, are you sure? Are you sure this is the guy? So you really love these policies of his? And they seem totally unfazed by the insanity of it all.
Are you planning on voting for Zohran Mamdani? That's just a pledge for support.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And then I just have to read you at least 3 of his policies. Take 2 seconds.
Very aware of them already.
Oh, and you like them all?
Yes,
okay, cool. All right, so you're cool with taxing whiter neighborhoods?
Yes.
Are you white?
Yes.
Do you think that's race baiting? No. Really? Yeah, it's fine. Who cares? Okay, he's openly discriminated against Italians, but whatever.
I'm Italian.
Yeah, dude, literally, honestly, pizza's not even that good. Okay, and then he won't sign Holocaust remembrance legislation.
You know.
Do we need to remember? Yeah. All right. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, have a nice day. Thank you. It was insane.
I mean, do we really need to remember the Holocaust? Yeah. And these, just brush it off. Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I love him. I support all of his policies. I already know them really well. I'm happy to sign your petition. Again, it would be like you get what you deserve if it only affected New York City. Unfortunately, when you're talking about a city like New York City, it affects all of us. This man has told us exactly who he is. There are 3 weeks to go until the election. I know that there is a debate that is about to happen. I gotta believe, please, New York City, do not be totally insane. Do not be, please show us in the polling that you're still in there somewhere. The totally sane New York City is still in there somewhere. Please, for the love of God. You have 3 weeks to figure your shit out so you don't ruin this for the rest of us. All right, let's take a quick break. Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Make sure that you hit the like button. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is stacked against us as conservatives. Comment, that'll help us out as well, and share the show with your friends. So I want to thank our sponsor really quickly, and then we are going to get into our panel. But our sponsor, Jase Medical. Listen, Jase Medical is there for those of you who understand the importance of emergency preparedness. And maybe you understand it so much so that you have emergency food. You've got maybe, these obnoxiously large bins that are in your basement or wherever you have them. But if you understand you need to be prepared in an emergency, then you also need the Jase case, because what that is a kit filled with emergency medications and prescription antibiotics. What are you going to do if there's a natural disaster that happens, there's a supply chain crisis, and you need a literal life-saving antibiotic? Well, kind of in the term life-saving. I know what you're going to do if you don't have it. So make sure that you go over to jase.com. They've got all sorts of customizable options for the Jase case and more. They've got EpiPens. They've got ivermectin. They've got whatever you need to keep you and your loved ones safe in the event of an emergency. Go over there, jase.com. That's jase.com. Enter promo code Sara at checkout for a discount on your order. That is promo code SARA at jase.com. Joining me now to hopefully help me unpack all of this Zohran Mamdani insanity is Blaze TV contributor Matthew Mausden, and also her maiden voyage on the show. This is political commentator Aaron Wexler. We are so happy to have you, Aaron. It's like you don't find enough females out there who can come on and do shows like that. So whenever we find them, we love to have them on. So welcome to the show. No pressure. Just don't screw it up. Just kidding.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here as the DEI quota for women.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that's how I made it.
Well, that's why I got hired. So, because not only am I a woman, but my last name was Gonzales. So they were like, yes, we got it covered. Just kidding. I hope. So I want to hear from both of you on all of this. I just laid out kind of all of the clips of this Mamdani character who, I will give him credit, is actually saying all of these quiet parts out loud. He's been very, very clear that we showed him he wants to raise taxes to 52%. He doesn't want to lock violent criminals up. He wants to tax whiter neighborhoods. Well, that's just what we see, is what he said. And Aaron, I want to go to you first because you are from New York, and maybe you can help me understand, because I just said, I'm like, New Yorkers, I don't get it. You should be reasonably intelligent if you live there. You should understand how dangerous this would be. And yet the polling indicates that no one is even close to catching him.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is really concerning. I'd say there are a few things here when it comes to New York. I generally hold the philosophy that when things are actually okay, people don't feel as motivated to vote. So in the last election, things were really bad. Moms who were liberal, who'd never voted for Donald Trump in their life, actually went to vote for him because they had a kid coming home from school saying that there was a furry shitting in a litter box in the bathroom. And that's why they went to vote Republican. But now the city's actually been cleaned up a lot. It's still obviously New York City. You have crazy people on the subways. But Eric Adams has been working with Trump over this last year. And I've noticed meaningful improvements in the city since I've been back. The city does feel pretty back. And when that happens, you get this idea of luxury beliefs, kind of like Rob Henderson. Things are lofty again, and you could toy with socialism. It's very seductive. I also just think life in New York is really grating, and there's a lot of friction there. And Mamdani is speaking to that kind of friction. Now, obviously, his solutions are completely backwards. But if you're a regular person in New York and someone's saying to you, hey, I have solutions because I see you, when Andrew Cuomo is doing nothing, he has done absolutely nothing on social media. So yes, we could call Zohran Mamdani despicable, Marxist, Muslim. There are all these things that are red flags of what he's going to do to New York City. But at the end of the day, where is Andrew Cuomo with our last quote from him being, I'm not perverted, I'm just Italian, which, by the way, I thought was a fair point. But yeah, I think that Mamdani has a really good shot, especially because it's an off-cycle year. And that's when the crazies show up. And we need people to get off their butts and go vote. And I have not seen any mobilization at all from the Cuomo camp to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, that is a great point. I haven't seen him anywhere either. It's like, do you want this or do you not? Now, I will also say it's a sad state of affairs for New York City in that we're like, actually, I kind of would prefer that the guy who killed a bunch of grandmas and grandpas in nursing homes wins. Like, I realize the absurdity of that statement, but it just kind of is what it is. Because, yeah, I'd prefer that for New York City, which obviously will have ramifications for the entire, the entire country, the entire world as well. But, yeah, I would rather that than a potential like radical Islamist, Muslim, communist, democratic socialist, whatever you want to call him. I'm having trouble connecting those dots anyway. But yeah, it's a sad state of affairs, Matt, when you're like, yeah, I think the sexual harasser, grandma killer might be better for New York. Who knew?
Well, it's a massive race to the bottom, isn't it, with these two? But I have a different take. I want him to get in. I hope he gets in. And I hope it illustrates to the rest of the... Yeah, listen, I'm sorry. You can't cure stupid. And these people need to understand what it's like to live under socialism, like proper socialism, and let them see what a shithole New York will turn into. I'm over trying to explain. Listen, I escaped as well from the communist state of California, and I'm sick to death of trying to tell people, do not turn your city and your state into that place. And by the way, the number one guy that's going to be running for the Democratic nomination is going to be Gavin Newsom. He's just as bad. Honestly, he hasn't seen a place that he cannot destroy. So as far as I'm concerned, I have absolutely zero sympathy for New York at all. I think that he should get in and let him, implement all the things that he wants. He's like you said, Sarah, he's telling them what he's going to do. Okay, let it happen. Let it happen.
Yeah,
I'm over it. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm not. For me, when I was in California, it took me forever. I just kept telling people. And look, I was in Hollywood for 20 years. They still keep voting for the maniacs. I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I mean, generally, I would say you're right. Like, you get what you vote for. And if you vote for crazy insanity or a communist, like, that's what you're going to get. And you're going to find out that actually communism is never done correctly because communism sucks. And so, but then it's like, well, what about the ramifications that the rest of us are going to feel, considering New York City affects all of us? I mean, like I said before, it's the financial capital of the world. I just feel like it will have far-reaching effects that might affect us as well. And I don't want that shit. I would never vote for that guy.
I don't, but Sarah, I don't think that's the case. I think that the great thing about Americans is they're very resourceful, and then it will just stop being the financial center of the world, and then it will move somewhere else. That's just what will happen, because look, they did this recently in 2022 I believe it was in Norway. They raised all the taxes. They were like, we're going to go more commie. We're going to push it. And guess what? 82 millionaires and billionaires left. And they had a massive slump. In fact, that's what's going to happen. You don't think that the guys in Wall Street are going to say, I'm going to stay here in New York because it's New York? No. I'm surprised they didn't bug on out when the CEO of United Healthcare got shot. We tend to look at things as monoliths and say, like, this is the way they are. It's not true. Hollywood is dying. The film industry is moving out of Hollywood. So what? It doesn't matter. The financial district will move out of New York. It'll go somewhere else. It'll locate somewhere else. I honestly, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of fighting a losing battle and putting all this effort into a giant black hole. Let them experience communism, let them fail, and then we'll go in and then we'll rebuild.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on, whether or not New York should just be allowed to implode?
Thank you for calling on me, because I actually was trying to not interrupt as that was going on. Because Matthew, I couldn't disagree more for a number of reasons. First, How many billionaires are there in Norway? Probably fewer in Norway, the entire country, than just on the island of Manhattan alone. So but I don't agree on the overall larger point, which is that we give up on these historical cities that make America and the world. If New York goes, the US goes. This is actually something that Charlie Kirk understood. This is something that he was really pushing over the last few months. He understood that we cannot have the Mamdanification of America. And we're seeing copycats right now, like this guy, Omer Fateh over in Minneapolis. There's another, like that we're seeing all of this across the country. And I'm really afraid of being completely unable to undo the end of the financial capital of the country. Because to your point, Hollywood is dying, right? People don't want to watch these movies. When is the last time you saw a good movie? I could only think of one in the last 5 years, and it was Am I Racist? It was hilarious. So shout out to Matt Walsh on that one, but that was it. And that wasn't really a movie. That wasn't a classic drama. That was a funny kind of documentary. We don't have an arts industry anymore in this country. That is terrible. If New York goes, it's not that an economic epicenter just pops up somewhere in the country. We just lose that. That goes away. So this idea that we should give up on a college campus or a major city in America that actually has, this is real historical relevance to our country. We can't just say, give this up and let's just go to the panhandle of Florida to have our economic powerhouse. We need to fight for these things. So I don't agree. And I say this as someone who left New York because it was so grating, but I am thankful that there are still people there like Elise Stefanik and others who are fighting for real American values there, because we can't let go of New York.
I will also say, just to kind of put a bow on this particular topic, and we've got more stuff that I want to get to with you guys, but I will also say, under a Trump presidency, I am fairly confident that Trump will not allow our federal taxpayer dollars to go to these Democrat-run shitholes. But you do have to also consider that the federal government also controls the flow of everyone's taxpayer money when these states want to get bailed out. And so, like I said, Donald Trump, he has already teased that some of these, like Chicago or Illinois and some of these other places, if they're gonna turn to communism, if they're gonna import all of these illegal criminals, if they're gonna do all these things, he's not going to give them bail money, basically. But the next Democrat that gets in, these mayors, these governors, whoever it is, they're going to implement all of these policies. They're going to put their taxpayers on the hook for, what did I say, $8 to $11 billion a year when you're talking about Mamdani's policies. And then eventually the money's going to dry up and they're going to go, knock, 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 federal government. Where's our money? We're in a state of emergency. We don't have the funds. And then my taxpayer money is going to go to it. And then I'm going to be really pissed. So I hope that doesn't happen. But I just think that should be a consideration for everyone as well when we're talking about these rogue states that want to turn into little communists. All right, let's go ahead. Let's take a quick break. And then I want to bring you guys back there's so many fun things that we have to talk about. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor is there for those of you who maybe you've reached the age where things just hurt. You got back pain, knee pain, neck pain, whatever the case may be. Pain sucks. And when you're stuck with it, it affects every facet of your life. Maybe you're, a little bit grouchier with your family or, it affects you. But it doesn't have to be that way. Try Relief Factor. It's an all-natural anti-inflammatory. And I know I'm going to be a little bit sexist right now. All you men out there in the audience are like, oh, it's all natural. It actually doesn't work. No. It was developed by doctors who were men, as it turns out, because they didn't want their patients to feel loopy every time they had to give them something to get out of pain. Try their 3-week quick start. It's $19.95, and 70% of the people who buy that go on to keep ordering more. So the odds are in your favor that it could get you out of pain. And wouldn't that be life-changing? Go check it out at relieffactor.com. That is relieffactor.com. Well, John Bolton has been indicted by the Justice Department, and this is alleged unlawful handling of classified information from the indictment. Now, I haven't had this literally is just happening as of the time of this taping. So I haven't had a chance to look through any relevant court documents, but I know the allegation when he was under investigation before the indictment dropped, it was that he was I don't know, taking notes on like his Apple devices or whatever rather than protecting the classified information. I seem to recall another Democrat who was using like email servers and stuff. The name escapes me. Anywho, I just think that all of these indictments couldn't happen to a more deserving group of people. And I'm curious to see what my panel thinks about this. Matt, I'm like, wow, don't threaten me with a good time. This is great. We've got Big Tish. We've got John Bolton. We've got who else am I thinking that just came down the pike? It's actually the real
Comey.
Criminals. Yes, Comey. The real criminals are finally having to answer for all of their criminal behavior.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that it's shocking to us right now that we're saying, well, people are finally being held accountable because we got so used to them getting away with it. And we all knew that they were up to something. And isn't it the case that it's the ones that squeak the loudest, the ones that are always flapping their gums, are the ones that were doing things behind the scenes? And, John Bolton, I mean, he's a complete scumbag. I mean, he's never seen a war that he hasn't liked. So, it's a double whammy, really, with Trump getting ceasefires and then indicting John Bolton. It's kind of a wonderful day for us.
Yeah. Not a wonderful day for him, as it turns out, Aaron.
No, but my favorite part of all of this is when the left cries about how it's crazy to do this to your political opponents, right? Because we wouldn't know what that's like. I mean, every accusation from them is always a confession, especially Letitia James. That to me has really been the most delicious of it all, with the hammer coming down on her. And I love how earlier this week, if people caught the clip of her speaking at actually Zohran Mamdani's rally, which was at least in English, is the least I could give them. I wasn't expecting that. But at the rally, she did the fist pump, copying Donald Trump, as if she was a fighter, as if these allegations against her were somehow fabricated, when it turns out the way she came up with the allegations for President Trump were actually stemming from exactly what she was doing, right?
Yeah. That must have been how she figured that one out so quickly. Well, especially with Trump, she was like, okay, I found the criminal. Now we just have to find the crime. Let's come up with something. Oh, I know. It's the thing that I did with my niece who's like on the run from the law. Like that story is bonkers crazy to me. But there's another clip that I want to get y'all's reaction to, which is Nancy Pelosi. Now, I don't know if Nancy she fell down not that long ago and like broke a hip. So I don't know if she's just getting old and senile, if she was drunk. I'm not really quite sure, but she had an epic meltdown when a reporter asked her a question about January 6th.
Are you at all concerned about the new January 6th committee finding you liable for that day? Why did you refuse the National Guard on January 6th?
Shut up. I did not refuse the National Guard. The president didn't send it. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points as if you're a serious journalist?
The American people want to know. We still have questions. Thank you.
Shut up. Why are you coming here with Republican talking points? This is just a much different tune, I would say, than what she said literally on January 6th in some unearthed footage.
We have responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with?
They thought that they had sufficient resources.
That is not a question of how they had. They don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having them just prepare for more.
Because it was, in fact, her responsibility, Aaron. But now we're going to just shut up. It's a Republican talking point to try to ask her, hey, are you worried that maybe we're all going to find out that this was all set up to begin with?
Yeah, well, I have three things to say. The first is you would think for a woman who's used her office to become egregiously wealthy that she could afford better dentures. It's so hard to understand her. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I would like to remind everyone watching this that Nancy Pelosi's daughter is the one who took that footage, and that she happened to be in the Capitol on January 6th, recording that documentary, right? How did they know that all of this would transpire and it would need to be caught on camera? It almost makes you wonder, like the first things that Nancy said were what they thought were the right story for the time, and then they had to change it later, but too much had come out. And the last thing I'll say on it is, obviously it's deflection. She won't answer this because she's been caught. Thankfully, not literally with her pants down, because that would be hard. But she's been caught with her pants down, and she has nothing to actually say for it because the facts are completely against her.
Yeah, I mean, the thought of a new January 6th commission and actually looking at the real evidence. I mean, it was just botched from start to finish. Clearly, it was a setup. And then you had all of these, people in Congress who were looking at edited files, edited videos. I mean, it really was egregious how they handled that.
AOC almost died 8 times. Yeah.
In the other building, like half a mile down the road, however far it was. Yeah, it was a really close call for her. But Matt, what say you?
Well, I think we're very, very fortunate that we have a Donald Trump presidency, because I don't think that they ever thought that any of this was going to come out.
Nope.
As you were saying earlier, I think that this was all kabuki theater. I think that they say what they think. And I think this has been going on for a long time. They say what they think needs to be said to get out there into the media to support their narrative, because no one was going after them. No one was digging. They knew they had a compliant FBI. No one was looking into their actions. And now, thank God, we won the last election and Trump is going for it. I've said this before, and you've said this on the show many, many times, Sarah, that we cannot stop. Like, all of the corruption needs to be exposed. And we're seeing it with John Bolton, for example. He's a Republican, right? So we are going after anyone, wherever the corruption may be. And this is what the American people want. So I think that it's getting increasingly more difficult for them to win anything in the future, I think, certainly on a national scale, with this, constant drumbeat of exposing the corruption. And I think that Nancy Pelosi, as was said earlier, is fabulously wealthy, and nobody kind of looks into that. And I know that there have been there's that.
She's a good guesser.
She's a good guesser.
She's just a good guesser, Matt.
Very good guesser. Yeah. Very, very good guesser. And I wish I was as good as her. I know that.
I will say, because I agree with you, a lot of the corruption, I fear that if it doesn't all come out now, it never will, because we will literally never have another president like Donald Trump ever again. I'm convinced. I mean, maybe J.D. Vance, but the Epstein files, I would like to remind everyone, are still something that we need accountability for, because we were told that they were going to be released, and now we're getting all of these weird talking points. So if they're going to give us the weird talking points, I would like for them to at least explain to us why they're withholding it, rather than just being like, oh, the what? The what now? The what file? I can't recall what you're. Could you speak into my good ear? I can't hear you. It's just. I don't like it, and I need them to, if we're exposing all the corruption, let's lay everything out on the table and let the American people see it before it's too late. But I want to play one more clip for you here. This is Ketanji Brown Jackson, the esteemed Supreme Court DEI hire. And I want you guys to help me figure this out, because they were hearing arguments on whether majority Black congressional districts is racial gerrymandering. And she had this comparison between the Civil Rights Act and then Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. And I feel like she's saying that Black voters are disabled, but I'm going to play it for you guys and then get your reaction.
Congress passed the Americans with Disabilities Act against the backdrop of a world that was generally not accessible to people with disabilities. And so it was discriminatory in effect, because these folks were not able to access these buildings. And it didn't matter whether the person who built the building or the person who owned the building intended for them to be exclusionary. That's irrelevant. Congress said the facilities have to be made equally open to people with disabilities if readily possible. I guess I don't understand why that's not what's happening here. The idea in Section 2 is that we are responding to current day manifestations of past and present decisions that disadvantage minorities and make it so that they don't have equal access to the voting system, right? They're disabled. In fact, we use the word disable in Milligan. We say that's a way in which you see that these processes are not equally open.
Matt, I really feel like that's what I feel like that's what I heard.
I mean, it's very difficult to believe that she's a Supreme Court justice.
Is it
it's
though?
Unbelievable.
Is it though?
No.
We had Assistant Secretary of Health who didn't even know what gender he was in Dick Levine. So is it really that surprising that under Joe Biden that we would get this DEI hire?
Well, no. I mean, the answer to that. I mean, when she couldn't even say what a woman was. We knew that we were in a lot of trouble. But this is, again, I mean, this is the continuing bigotry of low expectations from the Democrats. And she's basically saying, yes, that black people are retarded and they need help, right? And it's the same thing that they were saying about, black people, they can't get a driving license. I mean, come on now. I mean, how can they do that to get a vote? It's unbelievable to me. But I do think that times are changing, and a lot of in the black community are going, hey, listen, we're done with this. I mean, our communities are not getting any better, regardless of, the Black Lives Matter movement or anything like that. It just doesn't get any better. So, I think that the tide is changing. We've seen more people move over, more African Americans vote Republican, and I think this kind of stuff is just gonna boost the voting for for the JD Vance presidency.
Yeah, Aaron, it's one thing when you have Joe Biden who is standing on a stage saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, or when he was in a debate and they were talking about, I think, getting the COVID vaccine, and he's like, minorities don't know how to get on this computer and look up where to get a COVID vaccine. They're too damn dumb. But it's another thing to have an African American woman actually arguing this. I'm like, do you hear yourself? Are you okay?
Well, it's funny you ask if she hears herself, because when I was listening to that audio clip, I wondered if she believes what she's saying herself. It didn't even feel like she did. It felt like empty words, but almost like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be saying because of the side that I obviously represent here. I mean, we talked at the beginning of the segment about how I was the DEI guest, right? As a woman, she is truly the DEI Supreme Court justice. And there are many things that the left does that I have a lot of fun laughing at because it's just like a Babylon Bee headline come to real life. But this just isn't one of those moments. This is the highest court in the land. She actually sways votes. And I don't like that one of these 9 seats is being treated as such a joke. It is so deeply embarrassing. Like, there's no part of me that enjoys this. Every time I see one of these headlines or when I see her doing her weird Broadway stuff, because surprise, surprise, she's a failed theater kid who wound up being some like half-tier, mid-tier lawyer who somehow got elevated to the Supreme Court because they said they needed a black woman. They are also, a study came out from, I think it was her first year on the bench. They had the word count of all the justices. I don't know if you guys would remember this, but it was all over social media a few months ago. And the chart showed the average Supreme Court justice, of course, the women did speak the most, but the second highest word count was Amy Coney Barrett at around 4,400 words. Ketanji Brown Jackson's word count was over 11,000 words. So I give her the award of talks most, says least. And then at the bottom with talks least, says most is, of course, Supreme Court Clarence Thomas, and he was at 90 words total for the year. 90 words.
So Sarah,
Justice Thomas.
Sarah, the point is either she's completely dumb and she says that and believes it, which is not good, or she's saying things that she thinks that people want to hear, which is not good.
Yeah, well,
so either way, we're in deep trouble.
Yeah. I like to believe that she likes to hear the sound of her own voice, but she's not quite sure where she's going. So she just continues just talking, trying to find a place to exit, which is something that I see a lot of Democrats do, including AOC, who I wanna get into her and Bernie on their little primetime town hall, but we got to take a quick break and then we'll get into that. So AOC and Bernie doing this town hall, and they were asked about what they need to see before they agree to reopen the government. And they're like, nope, we're not budging until President Trump signs this resolution to give illegals free healthcare because we simp for illegals, not for the American citizens.
Question is, does that need to be enshrined into law? What does that need to look like before you would vote to reopen the government? Or is it commitment from the White House and Republicans enough?
No doubt.
I mean,
Mr. President, is a very honest man. And if he says something, man, you could take it to the bank.
So you're saying his word is not enough?
Bankruptcy court.
His word? No.
So what do you need to see? What commitments from?
I think we need to see ink on paper. I think we need to see legislation. I think we need to see votes. And I think we need to see these things pass on the floor of the House and the Senate and signed by President Trump. I don't accept IOUs. I don't accept pinky promises. That's not the business that I'm in.
Okay, so you need a signature from President Trump in order to vote to reopen the government.
Correct.
Okay, Senator Sanders.
So many things to be said there, Aaron. It's so cute that she's like, I don't accept IOUs. Like they're not the party of trying to spend all of this money that we don't have so that our grandchildren's grandchildren will somehow have to pay that back eventually. And she doesn't accept IOUs. So cute. But what are your thoughts there?
Well, they're saying the quiet part out loud. This is a real mask off moment. They're saying that they care more about illegals getting health care than the American people and having the government running. There's actually been a lot happening behind the scenes. Also, Trump's been pushing this EB-5 program where you actually just get the smartest people around the world to invest in the American economy. So he wants people who contribute to our economy and give more than they take. And unsurprisingly, the left wants illegals, criminals to just take and be a weight on our system, to be on welfare, to get free healthcare, get their hotel rooms. It couldn't be more diametrically opposed. But we know that these are the values of the left. They want their voters. They want people who feel totally indebted to them. And so that's why they're pushing this so hard. It's all, again, bad theater from the failed theater kids.
Yep. Yeah, the Bernie Sanders, Matt, who was like, we hate billionaires and millionaires, and then had to stop saying millionaires because it turns out he became one. And so now it's just billionaires. Very cute.
Yeah, he can't do that anymore, can he?
Yeah.
By the way, did you notice the way he was like, I think he's got a little bit of a crush on AOC. Did you notice? He's all a little bit flushed.
So do you, Matt. So do you. So you're one to talk.
Listen, she's a good-looking chick. I'm just saying.
No, communists are not sexy.
Dumb as a box of rocks, but she's good looking.
That's it? That's all?
That's all I got to say about AOC.
You know what?
All she has is her looks, not her brain. So at least she has something.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm very shallow.
Well, that is true. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play this one more clip because we have time. AOC talking about how air is drinkable.
Instead of talking about having air that's drinkable.
And it's not actually AOC. She may have been hitting the drinks too much, being that she is a bartender. All right. Thank you guys so much. Aaron Wexler, it was a pleasure to have you. Matt Marsden. Aaron, come back soon, okay?
Would love it. Thanks, Sara.
Great. See you guys tomorrow.